of New South Wales Footy Hall of Fame. And interestingly enough, I found out this is the last state to actually have a Footy Hall of Fame. Queensland got theirs out of the way over a decade ago. But we've got a number of guests. We've got 6 of the inductees that I'll be having a chat with, starting here with John, who has an amazing heritage in New South Wales footy, not just his contribution personally, but his family's connection goes over 100 years. And once you hear John tell you about the number of Longmires that have represented New South Wales, you'll be truly surprised. And to John's left is Peter Clark, who's the editor of the publication that most of you have got your hands on. If you haven't, they're for sale. They're at reception for $30, and it's a fantastic publication. John, I know you've got a plane to catch, so we really appreciate your time. Can you tell us just a little bit about your family connection to footy in New South Wales and why you're so passionate about it?
That's right. Thanks, Cords. Welcome, everyone. Great to have you here at our headquarters. Really love the fact that you're here at the Sellers Collis Centre for this important launch. And I just want to say off the top, thanks, Cords, for coming down to Queensland, and thanks, Peter, and thank you everyone on the committee that put this together. Rod, amazing amount of work. I think it's just fantastic that we've got so many people passionate about AFL football in this state. It's the most competitive sporting market in the world, and to have so many people passionate about AFL football, both on and off the field for such a long time, is a real privilege. So thank you to everyone that's contributed to it, and particularly the people that were in the coalface. Going back to my story, I guess, Cords, I grew up on a farm. I was born in Coral on the Murray River, down the Riverina, and I grew up on a farm, spent the first 16 years of my life down there before I moved to Melbourne to play footy for North. But my initial introduction to football in New South Wales was in primary school. I played the Riverina and then got selected in the New South Wales Carnival. We went to Darwin and played up there. It was the first time I met Wayne Carey. We ended up both being zoned with the Sydney Swans, and there was a trade done back in 1987 to North Melbourne, where we ended up, which Richard Collis reminds me almost daily when I see him. That was probably a bad blue. I said, Richard, not so much for me, but certainly for Wayne it was a bad blue. I was really fortunate to play football at primary school level for New South Wales. I played at high school level over in Adelaide, and for New South Wales. I played senior football for New South Wales when I was in Adelaide at the Bicentennial Championships. I was 17, and I hadn't played an AFL senior game at that point, but we played the Bicentennial Championships over in Adelaide in 1988, which was an incredible thrill for a just turned 17-year-old kid. I was 17, and turned 3 months before that, 17. And to play in the Bicentennial Championships over in Adelaide was an incredible experience. And I also got to play for New South Wales here against Victoria at the SCG, which we beat the Bigs, which was pretty special. But I mean, my family relationship goes back to my great-grandfather. Played footy for New South Wales, and which is I didn't realise until my dad told me many years later that he played for New South Wales. My brother played for New South Wales. My nephew that played for New South Wales. I've got 3 nephews, and my son played for New South Wales. So a long family history, of course.
It's amazing. I know you were reluctant to talk about the events of 1990 at the SCG when you kicked 8 to single-handedly beat Victoria and played on Langford, Silvani, and who was Crawley.
I'm not reluctant at all. I can talk about it all day for you. No worries at all. How long you got? Put the plane back.
But I believe before you just mentioned that you learned about your great-grandfather, Walter it was, and that when you played, you didn't realise, when you were playing then, you hadn't realised that you had that family history there.
No, that's right. We played here against Victoria in 1990, wet night, and my dad drove up from the farm. He was in the middle of sowing, but I think he drove straight up, watched the game, and drove straight back to Corrie, 8 hours each way to watch the game. But mentioned to me afterwards in the rooms with all that was going on, the carry on in the rooms afterwards, that he was pretty emotional about it because his dad and his family, long family history of playing for New South Wales, so it was a pretty special night.
It was also special because the 4 Danaher brothers got to play together for the first time in that particular match, which surprisingly hadn't happened at Essendon where they were all playing. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to play in the 4 Danaher boys' first ever game, and that was that New South Wales game. I remember it for so many reasons, mainly because it was quite a special occasion for those four boys to play in the game. I roomed with Neil Danaher, and I was a 19-year-old kid. I got home at about 1 in the morning. This is on a Tuesday night. We used to play on a Saturday, a Tuesday, and then a Saturday back then. I got home at about 1 in the morning, went to bed. Neil got home about 4, woke me up and said, "Listen, young fella, get up and have a cup of tea with me. I've just got to tell you about that 120-metre torpedo goal that I kicked tonight." And so I remember sitting there having a cup of tea with the great Neil Danaher as he was, I thought it was only 30 metres myself, but he was telling me about the goal that he kicked. The night that we went out though, after the game, I think the Danaher clan, there's a heap of them, 4 boys, and I think there was 5 of the sisters were there that night, and we all went out, and it was one of the more unique, amazing nights I've ever seen, ever been a part of. Jim and Edna were there, and you talk about family connections that run very deep when you've got, I think there was 9 Danaher brothers and sisters, 4 of which played that night, and you've got mum and dad all from Hungary in the one room together. It's pretty special.
Yeah, and Jim apparently was a pretty handy footballer himself, both in rugby league and in Aussie rules. I've heard that. John, absolutely fantastic to have you here. How do you? It's funny. We were talking before we came up about the connection to New South Wales, and I was born in Victoria, raised in Victoria, played 10 years with the Bulldogs before I came up, but I've lived most of my adult life here and got to play for the Swans and play for New South Wales. It's funny, Tony Morgan and I were a couple of ring-ins in some of those games, but now I identify more with New South Wales than I certainly did with Victoria, and even though I'm in Queensland, I don't think I'll ever be a Queenslander. But there's a real passion for the code here, and you tend to become, I've found over the journey, you don't just barrack for your footy team here, you support the code. You become a bit of a disciple for the code in this part of the world.
Yeah, I mean, some of the growth areas I've seen, I've been in Sydney for 23 years now. My 3 kids are all born here. It's amazing to see the change even in my time, let alone when you started courts. One of the first discussions I had was at a school I said, "How do kids like AFL footy?" And he started laughing at me. He said, if the kids kick an AFL ball at lunchtime, it's taken off and it's confiscated. And I couldn't believe it. That was back in the early 2000s. If you look at where the game is now, it's completely different. I'm so proud of the fact that you can go to almost every school now. They've got AFL programs coming through, really passionate about that. The fact that we've got 2 quality teams now in Sydney, 2 teams that regularly play finals, what the Giants are able to do in a really competitive market, and the Sydney Swans have been able to do in a really competitive market. When we're playing finals together, Leon Cameron's here, who coached the Giants for a long time, and when we coached against each other in finals games, I couldn't help but think how proud I was to be born in New South Wales, to play for New South Wales, and to be able to have the great privilege of coaching a team based in New South Wales, and to really pass the legacy on from a lot of great people on and off the field. I was just talking to Greg Harris before, and what he was able to do for not only New South Wales football, Sydney Swans, but a lot of people. There's so many people that we're so grateful for to be able to do what we do these days, to be able to sit in a facility like this, because a lot of people on and off the field, volunteers, have done so much to help the game grow, and I feel very grateful to have played a small part in that, but on the shoulders of the people that have gone before me.
Well said, absolutely brilliant that you continue to serve footy in New South Wales, and it's been you've been a game changer in so many ways, John. I've actually just had a look at the run sheet. I actually did look at it before I came up here, and I've realised I've jumped the gun, but I know you've got a plane to get, so if you want to dash off, go whenever you can. But before I do that, I'd like to introduce the President of the New South Wales Australian Football Heritage Association. Would you please welcome Ian Granley? Thanks.
Thanks, John, and also thanks you very much. We'd like to offer a big welcome to those who have travelled to come with us today, particularly those who have come from a long way. I know there was not only everyone, but also Nearly has come a long way to be with us. We in the New South Wales Football History Federal Association had rooms at West Magpies, that's the old Western Suburbs Aussie Rules Club, Picken Oval. So if you ever get the opportunity and you want to pop in and say hello, we're there normally most Tuesdays. We have a website and a very popular Facebook site, and if you go onto the website, there's a hell of a lot of stuff. You can sit there for hours and hours and hours and read the stuff. The function here today is to launch the 92-page book featuring the inaugural inductees of the New South Wales AFL Hall of Fame. A lot of work's gone into the production of this book under the chairmanship of a subcommittee chaired by Peter Clark, who worked primarily with Roger Lett and Paul McPherson, amongst others. The photographic work on the front cover, as you can see up there, was undertaken by our committee member Peter Bassett. So if you need any work in this area, Peter's the man to see. He also went in did a lot of the black and white photos in it and coloured some of those photos. So Peter's the man to see if you need any work to do in that area. I want to thank Neil also, who's travelled down from the North Coast to be MC at this event, and John, who had to pop off. He's going down to Melbourne, I understand, and his contribution for launching this book for us. In particular, I want to thank Roger Lett for his work in organising this function. He's recently been appointed with the title our External Affairs Manager for our group. Well done, Rodney. And put your hands together for a lot of you are Rodney. For those of you who are members of our association, you can get your book if you already haven't done so. Your book over there at the table. If you want to buy a copy, also see John over there. And Paul McPherson for membership forms. We're always after members. We don't ask you to do anything, but it's good to have a handy membership number there. Also, if you're a footy tragic, we have on sale today one of our early publications. It's the introduction of Australian football into Sydney from 1877 to 1895. It's a special cost today of $20, and that book's also over there with John and Ian Wright. So with those few words, I'll hand you back to the MCD and we'll move on, MC, and we'll move on with the meeting.
Good idea, thanks mate. I'll pass the baton over to Pete. Come in a little closer if you like. First of all, congratulations on the publication. It just looks, we just mentioned Peter Bassett there, who thank you for your outstanding work, particularly with the colorisation and photo enhancement of my photograph, Peter. You took about 10 years off and made me look twice as good, but you must be really happy with this product, Peter.
I'm absolutely thrilled, not only thrilled with the people who've come today, which I think is a reflection of the importance of the Hall of Fame and of our publication. Absolutely thrilled in the teamwork that went into this publication. Many people have contributed, not only the writers who wrote the longer pieces, and there are 40 of those. There were 5 riders. The man to my right, both a dozen of those in his journalistic style, along with Paul Mulvey. Is Paul here today? Hello, Paul. I haven't met you yet. Our 2 journalists, and then you get the biographical style of Paul McPherson over here, and the conversational style of Rod, the man who steered the project through. Not only was he on the selection committee for the Hall of Fame and saw that project through to its fruition, he also had a vision for this sort of publication, and he certainly drove that project through to the end. And what we have in front of us today is in no small measure due to Rod's energy getting everyone here today.
Couldn't agree more. Absolute driving force. When Rocket would call me up, he would literally pester you if you were a bit like Phil Heads, my editor at the Daily Telegraph. Great to see you here, mate. Who used to be hard on me at deadline, but he has been a driving force for decades and has actually cultivated my appreciation of football in New South Wales. And we honestly, Rocket, we wouldn't be here today. We wouldn't have a Hall of Fame, and we wouldn't have this book if it wasn't for you, mate. Anyway, tell us about your footy background. I know you came from Albury, and you're a school teacher there, but I believe you have a connection with Brett Kirk's father, Noel. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, like John, I'm from the Murray River area. It all started for me at North Albury at Bunton Park, where it would have started for Brett and for his dad, Noel. My father was a journalist on the Border Morning Mail newspaper, and he was the football writer in the 1950s and early 1960s, and he would take us to all of the grounds of the Ovens and Murray League, and that's where my brother and I developed our passion for footy. Bunton Park, I've got a photograph I want to show Brett later on. Is Brett here?
Coming at 10 past.
He's coming, yeah. So it all really started at Bunton Park, and Brett's dad and I were at school together, so I've got very vivid memories of Noel, who was an extremely fierce competitor in country footy, playing initially for North Albury and then eventually for Burrumbuttock. If you went up in a pack, you always had one eye looking for where Noel was coming from. And I guess we can see that in Brett's football, how competitive and how hard and how reliable he was.
Well, the other thing that was so amazing about Noel Kirk was that he played his entire football career without one hand, which he lost as a young child in a farming accident. So, as Kirky told me, he said he was as hard as old boots, and he said he loved to, when he'd spoil somebody, he'd punch them in the back of the head and then give him another one with his stump on the way through. And I believe that you tasted the stump on the back of your head more than once.
Certainly in the schoolyard. You always looked out to see where Noel was.
That's brilliant. All right, well, thank you, Peter. Thanks for your time. Really appreciate your work, and congratulations on the finished product.
And thank you very much, Neil, for being our MC today.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thanks.